Hey guys, here we are for our second ever online virtual Stump The Strategist, where we'll take your chewiest, crunchiest marketing problem and solve it right here live in only 9 minutes. Nice. I'm Adam Long, I'm the General Manager at Step Change.
G'day, and I'm Jeff Cooper, founder and partner.
So today we keep our lunchtime sessions rapid, we keep them fast paced. We've got time for 2 questions today, and it's the opportunity for you to get that issue that you've been sitting on, that chewy marketing problem. We'll crack it live on stage. Now, there is good news and there is some bad news. I reckon they want the bad news first. People
always the bad news.
Bad news is we don't know your business. Out there on the webinar, we don't know the detail. We haven't worked in your business as much as you have. What we do have, and this is the good news, is a stack of knowledge about marketing, about communications, about selling, about B2B sales. We're going to blend some of that with the questions you asked to build you a strategy and a framework that makes sense for solving your chewiest marketing challenge. Now, we've got time for 2 questions today, and we're asking you online to be asking the questions for us. There are 2 ways you can ask the question. The first one is to use the questions tab on GoToMeeting there. If you click there, it'll go live to our beautifully gorgeous assistant Dave, just off screen here, and he'll get that question live to us. The other way, for the analogosauruses out there don't want to play with this technology, is to email us, that old classic, stumpme@stepchangemarketing.com. That's stumpme@stepchangemarketing.com. I think we've got our first question.
Got one. It's got a little bit of length.
Great. So here we are live. This is, of course, we haven't seen the questions before. And the very first one is, thank you for thinking about doing these sessions. I appreciate it.
No problem. We are very happy to do these sessions.
And this is from Bridget at BG Property Styling. Thank you for your question, Bridget.
So it's a long question too. You know, Bridget, we try and get the questions out in 9 minutes as well as the answers. So Adam's just reading through now. We'll summarise it down and we'll give it back to the audience.
So Bridget represents 2 companies, Bennett Property Management and BG Property Styling. Both are located in Mona Vale and the owners share the same office. For the past month since she started in the role, the challenge has been how to effectively market. The target market is B2B in the local real estate industry, and in this case we're looking at Sydney and the Northern Beaches. So right now the marketing strategy is to prepare blog content at least 5 times a week for each business, to create a social media calendar for each business, and to publish posts across social media channels and linking one of the posts back to the blog under each business. She's also in charge of SEO and SEM segments of the business, which is good to hear, makes sense bundling those together. So there's actually 3 questions here, so I'm only going to take the first one, Bridget, from the top. Otherwise it really will be questions in 9 minutes. So the question is, what type of evaluation should I conduct in order to get more engagement? Which social media platforms do you think is best suited to B2B audiences and small businesses under real estate? So Bridget, if I can just recap the question the way it's framed here. So there you are working in a small business that targets Sydney and the Northern Beaches for 2 businesses, Bennett Property Management and BG Property Styling. You've got an online SEM, SEO content strategy currently, and the key questions is how do you evaluate this to get more engagement, and which social media platforms are best suited to B2B. Is that clear, Jeff? Do you need any more clarification on that?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
Dave, are we ready with the clock?
We will.
Yep, 9 minutes, starting on the clock. Here we go.
All right, Bridget. So look, there's a lot wrapped up in that question, so I'll try and answer it as succinctly as possible. Now, you've asked about engagement, and I think the first thing that you need to look at is make sure that your offline and online are working together. So you focused in on digital properties, social media and the like, and that's great. I mean, you can get really great bang for buck there. The thing about these mediums is they are a fantastic place and a fantastic way to continue a relationship at low cost, very, very poor at actually creating a relationship. And so engagement.
You've been reading my whiteboard again, Jeff?
Nice. Nice. You know it's true because we agree. Now, when you talk engagement, you're 100% right. What you want to know is that not only are you hitting people and getting the right reach and frequency, but they're actually doing something with your message. So in order to evaluate them, you need an offline and an online strategy working together. The online one gives you your high reach, your high frequency at a low cost. It's designed to remind people of your services, your key messages and your value, but not to be the one that forms the relationship. You will actually get all of your engagement from your face-to-face. So these are your traditional channels, presentations to these people, turning up in PR and having other people talk about you and make sure that you're put in a good light. Meeting people face-to-face, having coffees and having lunch. This is the type of area where you'll be able to build a relationship that then is positively reminded of in your online channels. Number one for you is making sure you get your messaging right. Whether you are face-to-face or whether you are in your digital channels, you need to have a clear and succinct message. And in evaluating it, it's best that you start there so that all of your channels are singing together.
Great. So coming out from the messaging there is this number one rule for social media. So when asking what type of things should you be putting on social media, there's really only one rule, which is being interesting. Sounds obvious when you hear it just said like that, but the fact is most people using social media to promote their business are just promoting their business. They're, hey, here we are and here's what I'm doing this week and here's our company picnic and here's X, Y and Z. And when you're talking about yourselves all the time, it's really uninteresting. If you're trying to pick up a girl at the bar, and you can ask Jeff about this,
I wouldn't
you're
know
trying to
anything
impress
about
someone, you don't go up to them and tell you 1,000 things about yourself straight up. No, you talk about them. And it's the same with your customers online. Talk about the things that are interesting to them. Now, what's interesting that came out from your question is property management. That's a cracker of a business to be in because so many people are doing it badly and you can have fun with that. Now, we worked with a property management company in Adelaide called Jump Property. They're actually pretty new. We helped them get started. Big insight for them is, hey, property managers, what the hell do they do for their money? They turn up late, they don't return your calls, they try to do the minimum amount of work. This is absolutely painful. So for them, the point of interest was, well, what would a property manager need to do to get Adelaide, to understand Adelaide? There was some great work done there about around AFL season that some property managers would actually let Collingwood supporters in Adelaide houses. It was a nice little play against the AFL teams, live up the parochial nature of AFL, but use things that actually match what's going on in the world. So number one is be interesting. So, what social should you be on for B2B? There's 2 social media that you should be on, and the rest you should probably park and ignore. And by park and ignore, I mean you need to claim it. So for example, most B2B businesses shouldn't be on Facebook, but it's worth claiming a Facebook page with your name on it, saying, hello, we actually don't use Facebook, but it's nice that you found us here. You can reach us at wherever you'd rather them to reach you. The ones you should be on are LinkedIn for your staff, for the lead principals in your staff, because people will Google other people before they meet you. So property managers, before a property manager comes to meet with you, they will be Googled, and you want the LinkedIn profile to come up. Your LinkedIn profile needs to be up to date. It needs to have case studies. It needs to have recommendations on it. People we've seen using LinkedIn the best, Craig Rispin is a futurist, works with B2B, tries to get CEOs in the door for him. He's got 500 recommendations on LinkedIn, just stunning for credibility. The other place you have to be on is Google My Business. Now, Google's made a few changes recently to their algorithm and the way that they deal with reviews online. So, what this means is that where Google used to get reviews from Yelp and put reviews for businesses in its search results from Yelp, they had a bit of a falling out and now Google only uses its own reviews. This means everyone out there, you've got a unique opportunity at the moment to get in quick with Google My Business and make sure you're getting recommendations live now and get that head start. So we actually have a little bit of advantage. I think we've got 22 Google My Business recommendations.
The most recommended marketing agency in the country, funnily enough.
It's a great claim to make, but it is a short-term window, so it's something you absolutely need to get on.
Okay, so your question really centered around evaluating. And I think when it comes to offline and online, and I want to join those two together for the reasons that I explained before, you want to think about this as a customer journey. You want to think, how do people find out about us, right through how do they transact and do business with us, and then of course, how they followed up, what sort of things are we doing to incentivize referrals. Now, what I'm building for you hopefully in your head is a timeline. And along that timeline, you want to start by putting numbers in that make sense. And at every single stage, you're going to track the numbers and also look at your conversion to the next stage. Because the very first thing you need to do in evaluating your spend and your engagement is to actually know where you are now as a benchmark, and then you can work out which levers you can pull to get results. So here I've just drawn up a funnel. It would make sense for me in 9 minutes to put this together for a business like yours. It's not bespoke, it's not right, but it is a pretty fair indication of the types of things you're looking at in terms of channels, and also how you should think about your engagement and your conversion through that. So I've just put up here display advertising. We know it's massive in real estate. PR and thought leadership, I've put them in there because there's a lot of local papers on the northern beaches. They're relatively easy to get coverage in, and you get a lot of readership and eyeballs from them. So your question there is, under your marketing campaign, how many eyeballs are you getting? You then want to ask, well, out of those eyeballs, what are we signing up onto, something like an marketing automation platform, or our Facebook page, or anything like that that sits in between that kind of awareness to a more face-to-face stage. How many are we getting there? And what was the percentage conversion? You're going to step this same thinking through from face-to-face meets, whether they be visits, coffees, presentations, through to requests to do business like proposals, both in the number that you write, but also in the dollars that you write. You'll then flip through to, well, what converted through to business, both in how many converted and as a percentage, and the dollars. Finally through to your classic business metrics like turnover and profit. Then straight through to, well, how satisfied were our customers? So are we using a net promoter score system or something automated like that? And how are we systemizing the follow-up with those customers for new business, as well as getting referrals? At every one of these stages, you just want to ask yourself, what am I getting right now? Then, of course, you want to ask the questions, well, look, where am I getting big drop-offs in terms of the percentages? Where is it a sticking point? You want to track this every single month in an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can start to insert some of the tactics at these different areas to make sure that you're upping your conversion rate. So what you'll get here is a framework for your business that tracks the customer as they move through from finding out about you through to doing repeat business with you. It's in knowing that and measuring that you can then impact it. And your benchmark is the most important place to start.
Right. So, Bridget, I think you can see that the consistent theme coming through here is that your social has to work into your broader sales strategy. And once you've got that perspective of what's happening at every stage of your sales pipeline, then you can work out where social makes the best impact. See, the thing that comes up with social media again and again is not having the right objectives in place. Your objectives should be to shift one of these metrics at one of these stages, and that's all your social media should be doing. So to recap where we started, we said, look, social's actually about keeping a relationship ongoing. It's not a great place to start one, though it does help with your SEO and your SEM down the track. For a business like yours, working in a local area, using an A3 discussion guide to get face-to-face and make that work powerfully. With 4 seconds to go, number 1 rule is be interesting. I'm going to claim your places online. We're going to need a new one of those. Make sure you're on LinkedIn for the sniff test. Google My Business, and look, just remember, social isn't free, so make sure it makes sense with your broader marketing strategy, and it is matching into one of the places along this funnel.
Nice. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you so much for your question, Bridget. That was really good. Now, it is Stump the Strategist, which means you now get to vote online whether we were stumped, whether that's actually no good, or whether we were passed. There's a framework, there's some thoughts, and there's some ideas that are actually useful for you. So the poll has come up on your screen. Click there whether we were stumped or whether we were passed, and those results are going to come back to us, and we can find how we went. Here we go. Last few people were waiting to click on stumped or passed. Did it come from a place of wisdom? Did it come from somewhere else? And the results are in. 100% passed. Wow. Thank you very much. That was lucky. So thank you so much for your question. Bridget, I hope you got a lot out of that, and of course you can get in touch anytime if you'd like to follow up on any of these. If you'd like a recap of the question later, this is being recorded live. It will be on the website at www.stumpthestrategist.com. Thank you so much for your question. We're now opening up for any more questions to come through, either using the questions tab on your GoToMeeting webinar panel there, or by emailing us at stumpme@stepchangemarketing.com. Great, we ready for the next question, Dave?
I think so. So we can go with Justine, or we can go with the one you have there.
Great. Okay. So we're launching with this question here, which is from Jeremy in Melbourne. Thank you, Jeremy. So the question is, I'm launching a new financial advisory service in Melbourne in a few months' time. I've got 2 very experienced financial advisors as partners, and they give really good quality advice. How can I launch and market the business in Melbourne? So this one gets me pretty excited because it's professional services. Hey, we're professional services too.
Exactly right.
Launching new business, it's a daring thing to do, so good on you, Jeremy. So the question is, I'm launching a new financial advisor in Melbourne with 2 very experienced financial advisors as partners that give really good quality advice. How can I launch and market the business in Melbourne? And Jeremy, you didn't give us the business name, which is a shame. Could have given you a plug, but maybe next time there. All right, Jeff, you ready to get started on this one?
Absolutely.
9 minutes on the clock. Are we ready to go, Dave?
Ready.
And we're off.
Okay, so look, the first place you always need to look with any business is to ask what's your story and your point of difference. Now, the financial planning category is incredibly fragmented and incredibly competitive. It's also a service that is very, very difficult to differentiate and market. So, story is the number one place to look for you. I would start to look through the credentials of those planners that you're bringing on, the types of services you look to be offering, what your audience is looking for, as well as, really importantly, specific pain points and needs that are across the category as a jumping off point to get your story straight. These 2 things are absolutely crucial. In this day and age, you can look like a very successful business for not very much money. And the key insight here is everyone, almost, is going to Google you or search for you before they come to see you. So this day and age, it's very, very likely that in any service provision, they'll have a quick look online. So there's 2 things you want to do. You want to make sure you've got a 1-page website up, which has some good imagery and looks classy. Don't worry about having a big website. Just have somewhere that people can turn up to that proves that you exist. Then make sure that on that page, you worry about all the depth of content later, but that you have your key messages on that page, and ideally a video that steps them through what it is about your business that makes you different. And if you've got 2 very experienced partners on board, then potentially a face-to-camera piece could work for you. The interesting thing here is that website traffic and dwell time on websites is actually down around 8 seconds across the web right now. It means people are turning up and making a decision very, very quickly. Now, of course, that's skewed by all the pages out there that aren't right, that are selling Viagra, that are trying to get people to buy Facebook clicks. But the reality is that it's still probably under 2 minutes for this category. So you want to make sure you have a video on it. You want to have something that's really easy to go through and understand what the business is about. The last one is make sure that you have your LinkedIn profiles for all of these advisors.
What do you mean the last one?
And for myself, the last one for me, is to make sure that you have your LinkedIn profile up to date. So to give you a little bit of a stat, across Ashton, my business partner, and my LinkedIn pages, we'll get every 2 weeks somewhere between 40 and 60 people each coming to those LinkedIn pages to check us out. Now, once you think about that and you realise that they must have met us somewhere, heard about us, been recommended or met us in person, they're actually quite an engaged audience. That's not 60 people like a random click to a web page. That's 60 people that were actually most probably looking for us and looking to learn about us. So therefore it becomes very important that they find things of value on that page. So what are our skill sets? What's our point of view on our category? So yours is financial planning, ours is marketing. What makes us different? And most importantly, what's our scope of service? What can we help them with? So make sure all of those things are covered, and again, take the best bits from your website and your video and plug them in.
Great. Jeff, I just want to go back to what Jeff was saying about messaging and story for a moment, because something in the way you worded your question rang alarm bells. Look, it's not your fault, but it was this word experience. Now, I'm going to put a big red line through it that way. You can't just say experience, Jeremy. This is something I want you to make sure that you don't miss. The trouble is, we work with 70 businesses every year. Nearly every one of them, when they come to us, says something along the lines of having experienced staff. That ranges from other financial advisors, so every financial advisor is claiming experienced staff, right down to plumbers, to confectioners, to people making cider. They all talk about the value of having experienced staff. And when you hear everyone saying this stuff over and over and over again, it just loses its value. It doesn't mean anything. So your challenge, Jeremy, is to bridge what it is about your experience that adds up to a point of difference here. What is it that makes it different? Now, if your experience is that you've actually given financial advice to someone like Warren Buffett or Kerry Packer, that says experience so much more powerful than just experience. So talk about the clients that you've worked with previously. If you've got a unique methodology or way of doing things, that's a better way of saying experience than saying experience. And look, the challenge with the point of difference for your category and other professional services is it's actually hard to come up with a point of difference because it's a mature market. You're not the first financial advisor out there. There's plenty of others, and you've got to work out what's going to drive the switching behaviour, either from other financial advisors or from not getting financial advice at all. And you may have to create these points of difference. You have to innovate, and launching new business is a great time to do it. So starting with pain points is a good place to do it for a point of difference. Some financial advisors have the senior partner meet people up front, and it's friendly and it's great, and you sign the contract, and then they're gone. You're getting a year's retainer worth of financial advice and you never see that senior partner again. So creating something like a grown-up guarantee is something we've seen accountants in Sydney do very effectively. So if you don't have a real point of difference when you look at all the things that are valuable about you, you've got to create them. So, shall we talk about how we actually get this off the ground and the tactics for launch?
Yeah, look, so there's a few things we know to be absolute fact in the financial planning category. The first one is that people tend to end up in financial planning because of a life stage trigger. You can't write an ad and have someone's partner die. You can't write an ad and get them to inherit something. You can't write an ad and get them to create a business. Something happens in someone's life that makes financial planning make sense for them. And it's only at that point that we can get high conversion and make sales. Now here's the problem. If we can't influence those points, then what is our strategy to make sure that we get these conversions and we get these inquiries? Now there are two ways. One of them's top of mind awareness, I'm sure you've heard of. It's very expensive. If it's a firm starting out, let's leave the top of mind awareness for your Nestle's, your Cokes, and the type of people that can be on TV every day of your life for 20 years. For a business like yours, it's marketing automation to get you high frequency at a very low cost. It works a little something like this. By connecting your on and offline channels into one database that intelligently segments, tracks behaviours, and makes sure that as customers move through all the points, it tracks and identifies that customer, you can make sure that you're recycling them at the right time. You know, I also know that in financial planning, one of the places that people fall down most is that they get to the proposal stage, they submit one, they give them a call later, and of course, after that, they let it go and it falls. So we want to make sure that we have a system where wherever possible, it's automated. Because planners traditionally, and I'm not necessarily talking about your financial planners, no matter how experienced they are, but traditionally, they're very good at the service delivery and very poor at the marketing, the sales, the follow-up, and the discipline. So rather than try and change the spots on the leopard, what we're going to try and do is take that off them and make sure they don't have to do the work. We want a system, an electronic system, a digital system called marketing automation, which tracks all of our leads as they move through our conversion cycle and sends the right content and reminders at the right time. It also prompts our salespeople so that if someone's had a proposal but they haven't had a phone call in the last 15 days, the little email comes out and makes sure that our very experienced financial planners make that phone call and follow it up. What we're doing here is we're plugging all the holes in the bucket. And typically when it comes to conversion within financial planning, it is a very, very leaky customer journey. And so I guess what I'm saying here is to make sure that you put in a system so that your experienced planners can do what they do really well, and you can just worry about maintaining that system and making sure that no one falls out of your funnel.
Great. So to wind this all up, where it starts is you've got to get your story right. Make sure you have a point of difference, not experience, but what is it that gives you experience? What's your point of difference? And if you honestly can't find one, when you're honest with yourself about what others have as well, Got to create one, got to make one, got to innovate. Next thing is to get your credentials right online. So you need your one-page website, you need a video explaining what you're doing, your face-to-face pitch rock solid. You need to be identifying the triggers when people will actually be reaching out and looking for financial advice. And finally, get your pipeline conversion working, automated, use the partners that Jeff talks about here. And you know what, that'll keep you so busy. I think you'll be alright for the first couple of months.
That's a 4 years marketing calendar for a small financial planning organisation.
Once you tick these boxes, jump back on our bi-weekly webinar and maybe you can ask us what's next. Jeremy, thank you so much for your question. We're now going to ask the audience out there whether we were stumped or passed, whether there was something useful in that, did you find a new way of looking at your own business, or, well, we stumped. Well, we didn't really know what we were doing and Jeremy's probably in a lot more trouble than he was when he started. So that poll's coming up on your screen right now. Just click passed or stumped and then we'll wrap it all up there. Great, so those answers are starting to come through now. Now we've got another 6 questions sitting here that unfortunately we don't have time to get through today, but just looking at them, there's some ones from a company that does sleep apnea products, there's one from a yachting company, there's one from a cider company, and another financial advice company, believe it or not. And hey, that's pretty good, we got passed again, thank you very much.
Nice.
So, look, these questions, you will get a chance to ask them again. We'll hold on to these for next week. Now, next week, we're actually attempting to set a bit of a world record. You saw 2 strategies built for Stump The Strategist. Next week, on the 13th and 14th of November, we're taking on the challenge of solving 100 of your chewiest, crunchiest marketing problems, 100 of them live on stage. We're going to try and do it in 24 hours. Now, if you were Jeff, you'd probably say, hey, you're barking mad to try it.
You are barking mad to try that, Adam, absolutely.
And being barking mad, we're actually partnering with Assistance Dogs, the fantastic charity that provides assistance dogs to people with disabilities to improve their quality of life. So, you know what, if we solve a problem for you and it's worth $1 million to you, maybe you might want to give half of that to Assistance Dogs. That's a good start.
Nice.
There'll be time there for 100 of your chewiest, crunchiest marketing problems. You can bring them to us on stage. We'll be at Fishburners in Sydney on Harris Street, or you can ask them online for the live webcast that will be happening at the same time. So to register for that event, either online or in person, go to www.stumpthestrategist.com. Our technical angel off screen here, Dave, he's going to be sending that link to you afterwards so you can get registered there.
And look guys, definitely don't miss out on this. If you jump on the website now, you will see that we have an awesome lineup of speakers. We've got some of the most influential marketers in the country, we've got TV personalities, and we're going to get a boatload of coverage from press and from TV as well. So it's set to be a really, really big event.
Now you know what, if you've been sitting on a problem for the last couple of months, something about your marketing you just haven't cracked, bring it along. We'll have a go and you'll get it in front of some of the best minds in strategy. Thank you very much for joining us today. The recording of this will be live on the website in the next couple of days, and we hope you can join us again in the future. As always, we love your feedback. Let us know what's working, what could be better next time. That'll be coming up for you shortly. And as for the rest of the day, enjoy your lunch and happy selling.
Catch you guys.
See you later.